moving on to some solutions, I guess. Uh, and I'm going to name the solutions not because they're solutions, but because you need to be aware of like what is actually going on here in the face of all this disaster that we just went over. We're finding that our climate tools are causing issues. A study found that exclusion of race from a federal climate justice tool could worsen air pollution exposure disparities along racial lines in the US. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? And what are politicians doing about climate change? Well, Republicans have Project 2025, which aims to dismantle US climate policy if they win the White House. They basically want to gut environmental protections and bolster oil and gas fossil fuel industries. And I will just ask the listeners, does that sound right after everything we just went over? I don't think so. Democrats.
To our listeners, I suppose not, but there are some people out there that would say that tracks, or not that tracks. Most people say that tracks, but I I wish that was enough. I wish it was enough. I wish it was enough. I wish that you had a population that was so culturally bound to the protection of the planet and the protection of, or at least understanding our place as the United States, as a country living on the planet, existing on the planet, that we need to just reverse course immediately. We need all hands on deck. We need to make sacrifices. We just need to do a whole bunch of just outlawing of, basically, it just needs to stop. We need to stop everything we're doing and then build from the ground up. And it's going to require a massive cultural sacrifice, something that probably we have not seen since World War II, probably, like an amassing of just like, huge propaganda, huge public outreach in terms of saying that, it's like, roll up your sleeves. You got to get into the nitty gritty. We gotta stop. We gotta stop. If you got two cars, we're doing a buyback. You got to go down to one. We gotta do a whole bunch of tax incentives to refit people's homes and reconfigure the whole suburban infrastructure, reconfigure the way that we're looking at cities. We need to just stop, just do a whole full stop in accounting. And no, that is just not. It's not where we are. It's just not where the zeitgeist happens to be for a lot of people. A lot of people are like, this is unfortunate, and we're going to live through it, and this is just one of those things where we're just going to have to grit our teeth and bear it and make the best of it. And it's just so much worse than that, which is what I think you've outlined here, is that it's not something that you could just grit. It's literally, we could not, as generations, you could not have just grit your teeth and just sit back and weather World War I. You couldn't have just sat back and weathered World War II. It had to be a mass movement, a mass moment of like all of nations, coalition of nations getting together, saying we're all going to do the exact same thing, otherwise we won't survive this. We're at that moment. The problem is that we only understand these moments of gravitas, these weighted moments in our history. We only understand them through war. Because that's the only way that we're usually they're relayed to us. They're only relayed to us in terms of war. War is the only
A
time
really
where we
good point.
say this was crazy. These people had to sacrifice and do all these things to get through the Revolutionary War. Look at all the people who
Yeah, what
sacrificed.
mobilizes a population other than war?
Exactly. That's one thing that I think that is something that we have drummed up in our mythos of our society that needs to be dismantled, or at least needs to be looked at, making people understand that the movie generations from now of how we dealt with climate change, you're right, it might not be a Gettysburg, it won't be all quiet on the Western Front. It won't be that action packed, but it also will be that action packed because you've got these wildfires that are like, rushed, that are
It'll be a
decimating
weird
cities
it'll be
and
a weird
towns.
juxtaposition.
Yeah, it'll be
You'll
crazy.
have action, but then you'll have people
Tons of
not
action.
properly reacting to it, and it'll
Yes.
just look like bad acting.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
gonna look like, maybe it should be
Yeah.
called bad actors, because
That could
that's
be
what it's
it.
gonna look like. You are gonna have
Yeah.
entire communities facing
If
a
we survive
20-year
this.
drought and burning, and people are gonna be like, it'll be okay. That's fake. That's normal.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
somehow I think, Michael Mann put it the right way where he was like, it's the new abnormal. We're normalizing it. We are telling ourselves to accept it, that this is going to happen and that we just have to learn to cope and adjust.
mm,
And I don't think anyone understands that this is just the beginning. This isn't it. Like, this is a taste. This is that breeze, that
yeah.
cool breeze coming off the ocean before the hurricane comes. Like that, this is not it. This is just the beginning. It is going to get so much worse. And we don't have that much of a window to change it. And you're right. We'll get into it in a little bit. It's got to be all hands on deck.